successful role models.
Coming up on Newswatch at Noon in depth.
There's a lot more kids coming into foster care now than when I was a kid. Our foster homes are just overflowing with foster kids.
Kids who were the invisible victims of Ohio's opioid epidemic.
If anything, our students should have seen how much the community rallied around them.
International students are woven into the fabric of Ohio University and the Athens community. Now they're being embraced by that fabric in difficult political times.
Pretty much, we brew the beer, we get the grains, we give it to the farmer feed it to the cows, and then the cows, when it's processed, we get the meat.
From local farms to local restaurants, and then straight to your plate. We'll explore how Athens became the local food kitchen of Ohio. All this and more coming up now on Newswatch at Noon in depth.
Good afternoon and welcome to Newswatch at Noon in depth. I'm Marisa Oberly.
And I'm Tasia Smith. Over the next half hour, we'll dive into 3 stories that impact the people of Southeast Ohio.
Now, you may have seen 30-mile meal stickers on the windows of restaurants around Athens, but what do they mean? We'll tell you all about the program that's bringing local ingredients to your plates at home and all around town.
When international students come to the U.S., they're usually the ones who have to adapt to the culture of their new country and campus. But here, the Athens campus and community are the ones adapting and even embracing the culture the international students bring with them.
But first, it's no secret the opioid epidemic is hitting Southeast Ohio especially hard. Hundreds are dying or being saved on the brink of death. While we hear those stories of those being saved by the overdose drug Narcan, there is one group of invisible victims. Newswatch at Noon in-depth reporter Caitlin Roman took a look at the issue here in Athens County. So tell us, Caitlin, who are those forgotten victims?
Marisa, those victims are the children. 70%, that's 7 out of every 10 babies in foster care right now, are there because of parents who use opiates.
You have not a clue on how many drug-addicted babies are coming into our agency. How many neglect kids are coming into our homes. Sexual abuse kids is coming in from our bio homes due to the drugs of not being parented. Until you see it firsthand, you have no idea.
Terry Brown has definitely seen it firsthand. She's fostered 21 children in the past 8 years and has 2 in her home right now. She's also a mom of 5 of her own sons. She says she was put on this earth to be a foster parent and help kids in need during a difficult time.
Would you want to remember this nightmare? You would not. You wouldn't want to remember that you were taken away from your parents for overnight, for 6 months, for 3 years. You know, not all of them want to remember.
Brown says the transition to foster care can be tough for kids when all they have known is taking care of themselves and their younger siblings.
They've got up in the middle of the night and gave that bottle while mom or dad is strung out. They've changed diapers at 3 years old. Then you bring them into a stable environment, and even though we think it's a good idea, they probably feel like a caged animal.
Children are invisible victims in Ohio's drug crisis. As Athens County and the rest of the state work to combat the heroin and opioid epidemic, children are not immune to the lasting effects.
A few years ago, we would have had 70 children in custody. Today, we have 99 children in custody.
Kathy Hill is the executive director of Athens County Children's Services. The number of children coming into her agency's custody in cases related to drug use has gone up steadily.
Children are coming in care at younger ages, and they're staying in care longer. We have, over the last few years, we've had a 23% increase in the number of kids in our agency custody. We've gone up from 124 children a couple of years ago to 179 children in custody last year in 2016.
Children have been in the foster system for as long as Brown can remember. In fact, she was one herself. Before being adopted by her parents, she bounced among 13 family homes in 1 year and 2 foster homes after that. She says that now the need is greater than ever.
There's a lot more kids coming into foster care now than when I was a kid. Our foster homes are just overflowing with foster kids.
According to the Public Children's Services Association of Ohio, the number of kids taken out of their homes has jumped 12% in the past 5 years. That's 1,400 more children in state and local custody. Athens County is a clear representation of that exponential growth. The state is also recognizing the impact of opioid abuse on families. Last month, Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine announced the Ohio START program.
I'm announcing today the launch of a pilot program that will serve families harmed by parental opiate abuse in 14 southern Ohio counties. The program we are calling Ohio START, or Sobriety, Treatment, and Reducing Trauma.
Ohio START is based on a program in Kentucky that resulted in about half as many kids returning to foster care because of parental addiction.
Ohio START is an intervention program that will provide specialized victim services such as intensive trauma counseling to children who have suffered victimization due to parental drug use. The program will also provide drug treatment to parents of children referred to the program. The goal is to help parents fight their addiction in an effort to reduce the number of kids in foster care and decrease the reoccurrence of child maltreatment.
DeWine says that often kids of addicted parents go days without supervision and even food. In the worst cases, he says kids may even witness their loved ones inject drugs, overdose, and even die. The harsh reality of the opioid epidemic is that without programs and treatment, children may lose their addicted parents to the justice system, or even worse, to a fatal overdose. Athens County Sheriff Rodney Smith has been the boots on the ground during some of the worst busts.
When we had our meth cooks in Coolville, there was kids involved, and we've actually hit them like 3 times, and each time there were children involved with different members of the families.
Brown says that kids who come out of these situations are often lacking basic skills.
They don't know how to brush their teeth. They don't know how to take care of themselves. They don't know how to use a spoon or fork. They only know how to use their hands.
While many think arrests would deter people from cooking and abusing drugs, it doesn't. Sheriff Smith continues going after the same families for one reason.
We do it just because they're creating an unsafe situation, not only for their children, for themselves, the community.
Brown believes that when it comes to tackling the epidemic, there's only one solution.
Breaking the cycle, because we are now getting our foster kids as kids. And their kids, their grandkids. That's what happens. We need to break the cycle.
The Ohio START program will primarily be funded through a Victims of Crime grant. Just last week, DeWine expanded Ohio START to 4 more counties and added $1 million to the program, bringing the grant to $4.5 million.
So how exactly will this money help kids?
The money will provide children with specialized treatment for behavioral and emotional trauma. It also will support family counseling. But an important note about the program, it will not pay for parents to go into drug rehab programs. Reporting for Newswatch at Noon in Depth, I'm Caitlin Roman. Back to you.
Thanks, Caitlin. Going to college is always an emotional adjustment, but for one group of students, it's now traumatic. International students coming to Ohio University often leave not only the only home they've ever known, but also the only culture, climate, and country. And in the current political climate, they don't know when they'll get back home. Ohio University faculty and staff and students do a lot to help ease them into what can be a dramatically different life experience. Newswatch at Noon in-depth reporter Corbin Backford joined us from the newsroom with more on the international community on Ohio's campus.
There are more than 1,400 international students at Ohio University who have made that cultural adjustment both in and out of the classroom with the help of those organizations. The International Student Union oversees all the programs and hopes to start making more of an impact on domestic students as well.
Like American students, there are many different reasons why international students come to Ohio. Omani student Mehdi Ahmad tells a funny story of preparing for life in Columbus and OSU, only to realize 20 minutes before getting on his first flight to the U.S., that wasn't his destination.
It was like there were like a bunch of a group of students, like Omani students, where I'm like from, because we all got a scholarship, and we were there, and I was like, yo, you guys ready to go to Ohio State? And there were everybody was like, yeah. Like, some people said yeah, some were like, we're not going there, and we're like, wait, what? So we had to go check, and there was like a technical problem. So we're like, we're going to Ohio University, and I was like, where am I going? Like, it's funny.
Once international students like Ahmad get on campus, they face the same challenges as any freshman adjusting to college. Plus, they have differences in culture, lifestyle, and language. But they don't have the one thing in-state students have: the ability to easily touch base with their family and friends at home for a weekend. Amal Afuni came here at 16 to attend OU, following in her father's footsteps. He graduated from Ohio in 1986, but now he and the rest of her family is 7,204 miles away in Dubai.
People can go home and people can go home and see their family. I can't. So that for me was like something, not necessarily a culture shock, but something I realized that I can't do. And I've sort of just accepted that like I just can't go home for a weekend. I can't go home on my birthday. I can't go home Labor Day. So it's fine, but that's like something that I think took a while to get used to, and I'm still kind of getting used to.
One way to bridge the distance is by being part of the International Student Union. The ISU is an umbrella organization made up of 23 other groups. The union's purpose is to connect international students with each other and with American students. Some of the organization's activities include putting on International Week, hosting presentations with speakers, and organizing international food tastings and dinners. Through these activities, members hope to understand more about other cultures while still holding on to their own.
I think the nice thing about the international students here is that they're not afraid to just preach about diversity, and they're not afraid to like want to teach people. So a lot of the events that ISU holds, like the branch organizations under ISU, are really there to teach domestic students who probably will never get a chance to travel to Turkey or will never get the chance to travel to Kenya. This is our culture, this is what we do, like come visit us, come see us. And you're learning it from people who are actually from the country, and you're learning it from people who have lived there and who have, been through this their entire lives. And I think that's something that you are not able to get anywhere else other than college. And that's the one thing that the international community here loves doing.
On January 27th, when President Trump signed the first travel and immigration ban, the international community got back some of the warmth and support it loves to share. Students across campus marched and protested the travel ban. 70 were even arrested during a sit-in demanding the university protect international students. Even with the university's support, it was impossible for Afuni to feel completely safe, even though the United Arab Emirates was not on the list of banned countries.
It definitely did scare me. If anything, it did scare the living shit out of me because my parents aren't American. So it's like, what happens to them? Like, can they fly here? Can they not fly here? Like, what state does that put my dad's job in? My dad works for Cleveland Clinic. Can he ever come back here and like work for Cleveland Clinic? Can he visit? It was a lot because I had friends texting me from back home, like genuinely concerned.
There are more than 1,400 international students from 114 different countries here at Ohio University, but only about 100 would have been affected by the proposed travel bans. However, both students and staff, international and domestic, are still concerned.
Dr. Lorna Jean Edmonds is the Vice Provost of Global Affairs and International Studies, and she applauds the approach the university has taken.
Our executive leadership actually met on the Sunday and was looking to say, how will we respond? A number of things came out of that. Was our international students and faculty services, you probably know, they were our first responders. They were the group that were outreach to all our international students because they're the known community, and I think they've done an incredible job supporting those students. Student Affairs is another logical group that reaches out to students, broadly speaking, just to gather information and be in touch, because I think the first reaction was, how do we communicate? How do we find out how people are feeling? But parallel to that were actually some significant actions.
The university has also announced that it will provide summer housing and dining services to students potentially affected by the bans. Until President Trump's travel ban legislation is settled in court, Ohio University is committed to helping international students. Former university president Roderick McDavis sent an email to the university community saying that he shares the increasing concerns from many members of the Ohio University community who are reaching out to me regarding the executive order, and to reiterate that Ohio is committed to promoting an atmosphere where the safety of our international students is a top priority and understanding and acceptance of cultural and ethnic differences are guaranteed. Without embracing the cultural differences these students bring to the university, the Athens campus and community would not be what they are today.
You have to ask the question, would we have a Thai restaurant if we didn't have our international community here? The fabric of Athens has been changed as a result of the diversity of our student life. I mean, they have really brought the world to Athens in ways that we could not do unless we had faculty, staff, and students from all of these countries. And by bringing them here, we're enriched by their culture, and Athens has been enriched. Like, you just have to imagine some of these K-12 classrooms that are so diverse with kids from all over the world. Like, this would never have happened if you didn't have students with families coming here and parents bringing their children. This really does shape the livelihood of Athens in really, I think, very, very special ways.
One of the most encouraging things for Dr. Edmonds was the immediate engagement of students and faculty on the Athens campus following the implementation of the bans. And that passion was evident at this past weekend's International Week Street Fair as well.
Corbin, lots of that engagement by students was aimed at the university becoming a sanctuary campus. What did you learn about the university's talks to potentially do so?
Well, when speaking to Dr. Edmonds, she discussed the obstacles of declaring the university a sanctuary campus, including the potential loss of federal funding. However, she believes the actions taken by the university speak louder than a potential title.
Thank you, Corbin. Well, we hope you've already eaten lunch, and if not, get a snack, because this next story will have your taste buds watering.
We'll be taking a look at the Athens 30-mile meal and the strong local food culture we find ourselves in the middle of. That's next on Newswatch at Noon in depth.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Athens has become a food oasis. Whether you're a connoisseur of taste or a creator of edible delights, the ingredients to satisfy your passion are right here. Newswatch at Noon in-depth reporter Abby Carnevale was able to catch up with the creators of the Eat Local movement here in Athens.
When Eat Local started, local meant creating meals with food supplies within 100 miles. Then it became within 50 miles. Slowly, those supporting local food producers challenged themselves to make that radius smaller.
And today, we have businesses that sustain themselves on ingredients produced within just 30 miles of the city's center.
The cheese on the Reuben is from Laurel Valley. It's Country Jack. It's the majority of our steaks come from Athens' own.
Luar Romero, the general manager of the Jackie O's Kitchen, is the man responsible for seeking out Athens ingredients.
Pretty much, we brew the beer, we get the grains, we give it to the farmer feed it to the cows, and then the cows, when it's processed, we get the meat. And then we cook it and we serve it.
While Luar is responsible for finding the ingredients, it's up to their head chef, Jeff, to make sure all food and drinks get on the table and customers are happy.
Chicken comes from Chestnut Farms. That's our distributor for chicken. We use Shade River Organic Farm a lot too. Integration Acres, get stuff from them.
Feta cheese up there, it's on the O Strike pizza. They also make a salad dressing, they make specials with it. They have a salad that has our chev on it. They have a burger that has a lot of times our blue cheese on it. I mean, I really value food, and I think garbage in, garbage out, you are what you eat. You know, not only the health benefits, but the social, economic, environmental benefits of, you know, buying local food. It's all there.
The eclectic food in Athens attracts foodies to the small Appalachian town, whether it be Mexican, Mediterranean, Thai, or just good old fried chicken. Each plate has a local story of its own that could be traced back to the 30-Mile Meal Initiative. Paige Alost is the executive director of the Athens County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and she's one of the founders of Athens' very own local food initiative.
It was a collaboration between 6 rural communities where we investigated food and art as potential economic development. We began to formulate an idea of how we could brand and promote our local foods economy here. And it takes a strong commitment. But what we know is that the commitment really kind of branded and solidified our place in the local foods economy.
Leslie Schaller is the co-founder of the Athens 30-Mile Meal along with Paige, and realizes it's not always easy to get the best ingredients locally, especially during the winter months. Customers' reactions to the taste that comes from locally grown food reminds restaurant owners of the reason they're a part of the 30-Mile Meal program to begin with.
Shifting maybe our taste buds and the connection we have to our foods to really, you know, having that first joyful bite of a local strawberry in June or that heirloom tomato in July or August. I mean, that's a special taste, and I think we have to just become more aware in terms of what's special about food. It's not just fuel. It brings us to the table. It builds community. It's a thing to celebrate, not just something to eat in our car while we're driving madly hither and yon.
This whole local food fever started with the Athens Farmers Market, which has been bringing the freshest produce into Athens since the early 1970s, when vendors used to line Court Street sidewalks. As it grew, the market moved to the parking lot of the University Mall on East State Street.
The consumers reinforce that brand when they engage in local products and local restaurants in the farmers market. And then our producers engage in that by providing us some really quality products. And so it really is designed to be collaborative, not to be something that has a lot of strict regulations and requirements in order to be a part of it.
Every Saturday, year-round, this farmers market is a place for local residents to come and use as their grocery store. Whether it be produce, cheese, meat, or even home goods, they know they can come here and support their neighbors. And they can get quality ingredients for their dinner table all at the same time.
So the farmers market started and kind of got the ball rolling. Then Casa came along, then Jackie O's came along. Then Kroger was like, well, this stuff is really good. We want to be a part of that too. So to be able to go in a Kroger, you know, in a nationally owned grocery store and go locally and find those products that you love from those producers that you know and you see at the farmers market every week is a really big deal.
The local farmers and smaller restaurants and stores that use and sell their products need support to continue the local food culture. That's where ACENET, the Appalachian Center for Economic Networks, comes in.
So it was one of the first sort of food business incubators to open in the country, and certainly one of the more successful rural models, and we've just continued to grow that. The brand programs really are ways that I think we strengthen our partnerships with the markets, either the grocery stores, the restaurants, the food trucks, anyone who wants to source local food, having a brand program, having the training and technical assistance support from AceNet staff can really make the difference.
There are plenty of restaurants that immediately come to mind when people think of the Athens 30-mile meal. But what people don't realize is exactly how many businesses are involved and source their ingredients locally. Whether you're thinking of the obvious Jackie O's, Fluff, or even Zoe's, there are businesses out there like Soul and Brennan's that get their ingredients right within the Athens community.
After people came to us and said, hey, how did you do this here? How does it work? You just don't have enough hippies. You know, there's a baseline theory of sharing in our community that's existed for a long, long time. And whether you grew up here, whether you come here as a student, or whether you come here to start a business, you learn very quickly that that sharing approach is huge in this community. And sometimes that culture is hard to replicate in other places.
Over the past 11 years, the passion for the 30-mile meal has grown to make Athens the mecca for local food. Word of the super local concept spread across the state, and now there are 6 other 30-mile meal programs in Ohio.
Abby, how do those other local food ventures match up to the one here in Athens?
Well, the community here gives the Athens 30-mile meal a unique advantage over the other programs. I think Paige actually said it best. There's something about the hippie and cooperation vibe that has created a giving environment to ensure the success of the local movement. Reporting for Newswatch at Noon In Depth, I'm Abby Carnevale.
Thanks, Abby. And that does it for our final Newswatch at Noon In Depth show this spring. Thank you for joining us.
If you want to learn more about any of these stories, head to woub.org. We'll be back next spring with more stories that impact Southeast Ohio.
And we'll see you next year.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.